You're going to use this website to practice measuring some virtual objects, measuring the weight of them. Now, if we were in the classroom, we would be using a real balance scale, which is what you see right here on the screen. This is a virtual balance scale. And if we were using a real balance scale, the way that it works is that both sides of the scale have to be balanced. So they have to be even in order for it to work. So what we do is we're going to look at the bottom here. These are the weights that we're going to use, and they are in grams. So you see these letter G's next to each of these numbers. So we have a 1 gram weight, 2 gram weights, 3 grams, 4 grams, and 5 grams. You can measure weight in grams or kilograms. You may have heard that before. You can also, that's the metric system of measuring weight. And you can also measure the weight of something using ounces or pounds or tons, which is our English system of measuring weight. So they're just different systems of measuring weight. Now, we are going to use this virtual balance scale to measure the weight of some objects. So if you were to click on this button here, you would be given a list of choices. So I'm going to choose the apple, and it's going to go on one side of our balance scale. Now, in real life, if you put an object on one side of a balance scale, just as it did here, it would go down because the weight pulls it down. The gravity pulls the object down on the scale. We need to figure out how much that apple weighs by putting gram weights on the other side. And we stop when they're even, because that would tell you that the apple weighs the same amount as whatever the gram weights are on the other side. So now I could start with the 1, or I could start with a much bigger amount and then go from there. So I'm going to start with 5 and see. Wow. Now, the 5 brought it down partway, but not completely even, which means that the apple still weighs more than this 5 gram weight because it is, this side of the balance scale is further down than the 5 gram weight. But it did bring it down a decent amount, so I have a feeling that if I brought another 5 gram up here, it would be too heavy. So let me see if that would happen. Oh, I guess I was wrong. It isn't too heavy. So if you look, if you look now, they are perfectly even. So this tells me that 1 apple is equal to 10 grams because there's a 5 gram weight and a 5 gram weight together, and that makes 10 grams. So this apple weighs 10 grams. This is how you use these weights. Now, I could have, if I wanted to, just started with these 1 gram weights, but then I would be spending a lot of time trying to figure out how many grams this apple equals, when it was just so much easier for me to start with a larger number, and then I could have gone backwards if I needed to. Let's try another one together. And then you are going to be trying some of the other objects. You're going to use the balance scale to weigh the objects. And then you're going to fill out the Google form with a few of the objects telling me how many grams they weigh. So let's try one more together. Let's try the cake. All right. So I put the cake on one side. It brought this side of the scale down. Again, I'm going to start with a large number. Okay, it brought it down a lot, but not enough. I have a feeling that another 5 would be too much, but I'm going to try it just to see. Okay, now as you can see, the cake is now up higher than the weights, which means that these weights here, these 10 grams, weigh more than the cake because they are pulling this side of the scale down more. So that's too much. I'm going to take one of my 5s away. And I think I'm going to try a 4. Let's see if I do a 5 and a 4, what that would give me. Okay, as you can see again, very, very slightly, these 9 pounds altogether, for the 5 plus 4, is more than the cake. It's pulled down more. I have a feeling that 5 plus 3 is going to be my magic amount. And there it is. They are perfectly even, which means that this cake weighs exactly the same amount as 8 grams, 5 plus 3. So the cake is 8 grams. The reason why we call it a balance scale, remember, is because we want both sides to balance. We want them to be equal. Now, whenever you're ready to do a new object, you just hit this circular arrow, this refresh button, and it will start you fresh again. You can click back on the objects and you can choose something else. I'd like you to go through several of them and try this out. And then on your Google form, you are going to be required to do several of them. So on the Google form, I'm going to have you fill out 3 or 4 of the objects, and you'll see which ones you have to do when you get to the form. And you'll be able to go back to this website so that you can actually weigh them. All right, good luck.